So this was my favorite book when I was a kid. The name of it is Peppermint. It was 19 cents. It was written by Dorothy Grinder and illustrated by Raymond Burns. Last copyright was in 1930 and 1966 by the Whitman Publishing Company. Kittens for sale, 15 cents. Once there was a cat named Candy. She was called Candy because she lived in Mr. Dobby's candy store. One day Candy had 4 little kittens in her basket beside the stove. When Mr. Dobby saw the little kittens, he gave each one of them a name. The tan and white kitten he named Lollipop. The black and white one was called Chocolate Drop. The tan with the white face was Caramel. And there was little Peppermint, who was all white and very thin. Peppermint was not as beautiful as Lollipop, Chocolate Drop, and Caramel. That made Peppermint unhappy. After school, when the children came to the store to buy candy, they said, "Oh," and "ah," when they saw Lollipop and Chocolate Drop and Caramel. But when they saw poor little Peppermint, they said, "Oh my, isn't the little one thin? Is she sick, Mr. Dobby?" Mr. Dobby liked all of his cats, but he was too busy taking care of so many pets. Candy was a great help in chasing the mice away, so she would stay in the store, but the kittens would have to find other homes. Mr. Dobby had a big sign made. He put the sign in the window. Kittens for sale, 15 cents. Mr. Dobby was a wise man. He knew how much the little boys and girls liked candy. He knew if they spent their candy money for a kitten, they would be kind and gentle to it. Lollipop was the first kitten to go. A little girl in a red coat came first. She was very happy to carry Lollipop home. Next came a little boy with 15 pennies held tightly in a handkerchief. He couldn't decide between Chocolate Drop and Caramel. Finally, he carried away the black and white kitten. Now only Candy and Caramel and Peppermint were left. Late that same afternoon, a little boy and a little girl left their wagon at the door and came into the candy store. "We'd like a kitten, sir," the little boy said. In a few minutes, Caramel rode away in a wagon with her 2 new owners. That left Peppermint all alone with Candy and Mr. Dobby. Days went by and no one offered to buy the little white kitten. So Mr. Dobby took the sign out of the store window. It was not many days before Peppermint's fur was dirty gray because she spent so much of her time in the storeroom hiding behind boxes and barrels. One afternoon, the children rushed into the candy store. They were all excited as they told Mr. Dobby about the big cat show they were going to have at school. Caramel, Chocolate Drop, and Lollipop were all going to be there. Peppermint peeked from behind the box. She heard the children talking. She wished she could be in the cat show, too. The children ran home to get their kittens ready, but one little girl in a worn-out sweater stayed behind. She was rubbing her eyes and looking very sad. "What's your name, little girl?" Mr. Dobby asked. "Barbara," said the little girl. "What's the matter, Barbara?" Mr. Dobby asked. He did not like to see boys and girls unhappy. I haven't a kitten," Barbara sobbed. "Dear me," said Mr. Dobby. He had grown very fond of Peppermint, but when he saw how unhappy Barbara was, he said, "You may have Peppermint." Barbara was too happy to speak. She picked up Peppermint and held her close. "Thank you, Mr. Dobby," she said, and she ran all the way home to her mother. Barbara's mother was washing clothes. She stopped to hear all about the cat show and Mr. Dobby and Peppermint. "We'll have to give Peppermint a bath," Barbara's mother said when she saw the soiled white kitten. "She'll never win a prize looking like this." She took the dirty little kitten and put her in a tub of soapy water. Peppermint did not like having a bath. She jumped right out of the tub into a pan of bluing. Barbara started to cry. She knew Peppermint was ruined, but her mother caught the kitten and wrapped her in a towel and put her in the sun to dry. The next morning, Barbara's mother tied a big pink ribbon around Peppermint's neck. She put her in a basket so Barbara could carry her to school. When Barbara reached school, all the other boys and girls were proudly holding their kittens. They wondered what Barbara had in her basket. One by one, the children took their kittens to the front of the room. Finally, it was Barbara's turn. Carefully, she took Peppermint from the basket and held her up for all the children to see. How surprised they were. Peppermint was no longer a soiled white kitten. She was now a beautiful, fluffy, blue kitten with a pink bow around her neck. "Oh," said some of the children. "She's beautiful," said others. "She should have first prize," someone else said. So Peppermint did win first prize at the cat show, and she was the happiest kitten in the schoolroom, and Barbara was the very happiest little girl. The end.